How long ago did Oda plan for Luffy to become what he is today? This video will contain spoilers up to chapter 1073 in the manga. If you don't want to be spoiled, please go catch up and come back whenever you're ready. So I'm going back and I'm rewatching or rereading One Piece again, and I'm noticing a few things that foreshadow what is happening all the way in these latest chapters, over 20 years after the manga and anime debuted. While I admit some of this may be overthinking or even reaching, some clues just stand out so much I cannot ignore them. This isn't a theory video, this is really just me going back in time and trying to figure out if Oda really knew what he was going to do all the way back then. I believe I started thinking about this when I got to Alabasta again. This entire kingdom had an intimate relationship with the sun. It's beating them into submission. The people have learned to adapt and even thrive under it, until a certain warlord came in and started posing as a hero, all while orchestrating a shadow organization specifically designed basically to overthrow the current monarch. Crocodile put up a false face in the sunlight, but ultimately did his real work underground. Crocodile gained control of the country secretly, while holding the life of the entire kingdom captive for personal gain and glory. This is the shackle, and Luffy frees them from this by punching Crocodile up through the ceiling of a crypt, which is used to house a poneglyph with the location of Pluton, bringing all of his dirt into the light. And we see a relieved Monkey D. Luffy standing there, face shining in the sun, and then a miracle happens. It begins to rain. Like, just out of nowhere. No existing clouds before this, just appears and just burst open, flooding the streets with life and giving the country hope again. Again, I'm looking back and it makes me think of Luffy as he ultimately is going to end up, a liberator, a freedom fighter, and a god. Again, that may all be overthinking it, but this next one is 100% foreshadowing. There's no way around it. Most of the community already agrees that the Skypiea arc is kind of like a mini story, or the mini entire story of One Piece, just contained in one arc. Just ignore the symbolism of him rising into the heavens and freeing a bunch of people with wings on their backs. Just Luffy versus Enel is enough. It's the entire end of that fight that is pretty much shouting out a future for Luffy. Luffy smacks Enel with a giant golden ball, which could easily be seen as a visualization of the sun. But to make that point go a little bit further, in the manga, he's screaming, "Let the sun shine." Before he does this though, when Enel created his Kingdom Come giant cloud ball thingy, Luffy dives into it and uses his move called Golden Peony. Well, now, I had to look up what a golden peony is, and I just thought that maybe it was interesting or maybe it had something to do with this, and turns out it's a freaking flower, which in Japan typically represents new beginnings, fresh start, or clean slates. And this could easily be connected to him bringing the dawn, bringing the new dawn, the fresh start, a clean slate for the world. Luffy not only smacks down this false god with a golden ball, but he uses his powers to clear the darkness from the sky and let the sun shine. And yeah, every anime has god rays, but there is obviously some detail in this sunlight cast around Luffy's body. This is not just random. He's glowing here. His shadow is seen from Earth, the sun literally casting his image in a similar fashion as the Nika silhouette we see later on in the series. We can even see it in the reactions from the Skypieans. They talk about belief and God. Their whole faith has been realized by Luffy here. They prayed for a miracle and he delivered. Now, in Water 7 and Enies Lobby, of course, there are a few things that I felt were in some way an exploration of the sun as a central theme, none more important than the island of Enies Lobby itself, or whatever you call what Enies Lobby is. A place where a giant, seemingly endless hole is just ever present in the middle of the ocean, partly under an island in the location on the planet where it never sees the sunset. I know the Grand Line is crazy, but this is insane. But taking what I'm given, it's obviously a reflection of the ridiculousness of the world government. They put a court system here to represent justice in the ever-present sunlight, but it's over a bottomless abyss. So that's basically a complete sham. No one is acquitted here. No justice is actually taking place. And now that Luffy and the Straw Hats are done here, the place is ultimately completely destroyed. And after that, we get a whole arc about a man who can steal and control people's shadows. Not to mention that the way that power works is that the person who has their shadow stolen cannot return to the sunlight or else they'll be destroyed. Well, Luffy comes in there and beats the shadow stuffing out of Moria. When it came down to the last second in the fight, Lola and the Rolling Pirate saw that the Straw Hats weren't running from the sun. They were going to face the dawn together and believe in their captain. Believe in Luffy. Their faith is inspiring others, and this story is surely going to be in the Gospels of Luffy, if you know what I mean. This scene reminds me of the Skypians praying and pontificating their renewed beliefs. And then after that, he goes on to an island where he learns about some really dark slave trade going on in the world and punching another so-called god in the face. We could also talk about him going to hell and performing his miracles there, freeing all the prisoners in Impel Down, fighting against a man who looks literally like the devil, but that's low-hanging fruit. I also believe that there's a lot in the Marineford arc that probably deserves its own video, so I won't go into detail there. But I will give you two very curious examples that happened only in the anime, and explain why I believe that they are major indicators of Luffy's future reveal as Sun God Nika. The first is in the very first episode of the anime. At the very beginning, right after the credits, the very first thing we see in the anime is a sun. A bright, vibrant sun being orbited by seagulls, possibly a reference to the Navy. Right after that shot, it's cut to a dark vortex in the ocean, possibly representing Luffy's counter-opposite, Blackbeard, or potentially Emu. Now you can call that just a coincidence, a nice start, or maybe a little bit vague. But this next example is 100% has to be foreshadowing, and it's when Luffy used Conqueror's Haki in front of Boa Hancock. It's quick, but not so quick it can be ignored. The camera pans from Luffy and the sisters up to Boa and continues up to the sun. An emperor in many cultures is revered nearly as if they were a god. In reality, the only one with authority over them is God, and in that moment, Boa realized she loves Luffy, effectively submitting to him and placing him above even herself, as the symbolic camera panning suggests. Knowing now that he's Joy Boy reincarnated, or just the recipient of the Nika Devil Fruit, it makes me think that this was a clear hint. But what do you guys think? Am I just overthinking this? Was this clear hints that Luffy was destined to be the sun god? I don't know, but I'm definitely going to look at the rest of the series and see if I can find some more clues after the time skip. And if you like that kind of stuff, make sure you're subscribed, like this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about Luffy being foreshadowed this whole time, or how you like Luffy's portrayal as a god now. And yeah, I'll see y'all around next time.